And now let's talk about the most high-profile spy scandal of recent times. A KGB agent from the Belarusian State Security Committee is caught red-handed. This happens at the headquarters of one of the units of the main intelligence directorate, HUR. How did a Belarusian citizen gain the trust of high-level Ukrainian officials? What does sex have to do with it? Why did the enemy fail to get classified information? Santitijden's Alexander Zahorodny has the answer.
Expressive and large eyes, a graceful and slender figure, and a melodious, pleasant voice.
She looks so cute, like a little spy. But as it turns out...
she really is a spy, according to the SBU, and they present shocking evidence. This beautiful woman is a spy with 10 years of experience. Tough, ruthless, adventurous. These are exclusive shots. The arrest. Her companion is still resisting. He doesn't fully realize what has happened yet. She calmly watches everything because she knows the game is already over. SBU officers had been watching Inna Kardash for many years. But she knew how to be careful, erased all evidence, frequently changed numbers, and even destroyed the phones themselves. She consented to personal meetings with her handlers only while traveling abroad, and she strategically utilized her feminine charms for her agent work. And yet, how did a Belarusian citizen manage to get close to leading politicians? To commanders of military units, diplomats from various countries, and ultimately to get a job at the HUR.
The main intelligence directorate is the very heart of Ukraine's defense, but still a major state secret that they wanted to access. And that's where the real intrigue lies. I understand that this is a big deal. It was a major success at that stage for the Belarusian KGB that for so many years she remained unnoticed, or so they thought, and managed to get in so deep.
Life changes very quickly. Spies of the modern 21st century are nothing like the spies of the bygone 20th century. Yes, no one spies in the traditional, old-fashioned way anymore. But there are absolutely classic techniques that always work everywhere, and probably have been working for about 1,000 years now. This is when a respectable person asks another respectable person to help a young and necessarily pretty girl in life. And then there's the matter of technology. 2016 Minsk. Meeting of the Trilateral Contact Group. Remember, that's when the former Ukrainian President Leonid Kuchma met with the Russians through the mediation of the Europeans. It was there that Inna Kardash, a young Belarusian journalist, was introduced to the head of Ukraine's leading news agency. We do not wish to name the surname of this guru of Ukrainian journalism, editor and intellectual for ethical reasons. For many of my colleagues, he was a moral compass in the profession. And so, he is asked to pay attention to the young woman to help her with work. She is 25, he is 55, and he fell for her, they say, unable to take his eyes off her. But Karda was already an active agent of the KGB, the Committee for State Security of Belarus, at that time. According to the cover story, she is an opposition journalist, which is why she fearlessly collaborates with Ukrainian media. She talks about life in Minsk. In 2020, she consistently covered the ongoing large-scale protests against the dictator Lukashenko.
Thousands gathered again in the central Minsk.
Eventually, Inna moves to Ukraine, supposedly because she is in danger in her homeland. And she calls her acquaintance a concerned head of an influential organization, an information agency. Inna Kardash's career took off sharply precisely at the news agency. Well, just judge for yourself. A girl comes from abroad and gets a job as a journalist in a foreign country whose local language she doesn't even know. And despite this, she practically immediately gets her own driver. She lives in a separate house in Konchazaspa. And most importantly, from the general newsroom where all the journalists sit, she moves into the director's office. Colleagues say thank you. Sometimes they couldn't go into the director's office because she was always sitting there and always listening attentively to everything. Inna regularly meets with the country's leaders at unofficial meetings and frequently travels abroad. She attends international conferences, communicates with diplomats as an agency correspondent, right up until the death of her patron. Special attention. Spying on Chinese diplomats. Such Belarusian activity attracts the attention of the Department for the Protection of National Statehood of the Security Service of Ukraine. This Belarusian is too active, her list of contacts is too serious, and she has potential access to sensitive information.
She used this job and her colleagues' connections for this purpose. The media to expand her personal contacts among Ukrainian politicians and military personnel, as well as among foreign diplomats.
As part of the criminal proceedings, SBU investigators begin to watch and listen closely. They start looking into the suspicious girl and stumble upon a huge double life in her personal and professional affairs.
And activities. The role of an undercover intelligence agent posing as a journalist just suits me better. That's the truth. I really do know how to obtain very good information.
The Belarusian KGB agents even sent her a substantial sum of money to buy her own apartment in Kyiv and give her a new assignment: to infiltrate the International Legion in order to gather information about its fighters. Critical information that could have cost numerous people their lives.
What was important to understand? The last name, first name, patronymic, date of birth and place of birth of the people fighting in these units, find that out first. Then it's just a matter of technique. Who has relatives in Minsk, Hrodna, Brest, or maybe somewhere in Voronezh? Track down these people. Put pressure on them. Put pressure on them. And most importantly, the key thing for Russians and Belarusians was to understand the channel. How foreigners are taken out of the Russian Federation. The entire route of the Russians is actually very interesting, so that later these channels could be disrupted.
We are not showing these scenes for ethical reasons. The spy uses sex to recruit the commander of a combat unit. A fighter who spent several years on the front line couldn't resist the seductive Belarusian woman. He falls head over heels in love with her. She perceives this and begins the process of recruiting him, and
No one owns you or makes you belong to anything. No one is forcing you to do anything. If you really don't want to, you don't have to. This isn't the KGB, it's much higher than that.
that's not how it works.
That's exactly how it works. She has experience and support from the very top person in our country.
Specifically sex. According to intelligence officers, the young spy made it her main trump card. And regarding this recording, the man insisted that he didn't turn Inu into the SBU because he was madly in love with her. Meanwhile, Ina herself referred to him only as Mylok in her correspondence with her handler. At the final stage, her task was to integrate into the Chinese embassy and find out everything about Ukrainian-Chinese relations. She received detailed instructions from the Belarusian KGB on whom to approach and what questions to ask. Still, the ultimate goal for Ina Kardash was to get a job at the main intelligence directorate of Ukraine. And the SBU officers, together with the internal security of the main intelligence directorate, allowed her to do so, because they also know how to play the spy game.
SBU and main intelligence directorate officers began working with the Belarusian agent. A long-term operational game that not only allowed them to document her every move, but also to regularly feed disinformation to the Belarusian intelligence service through her. In particular, the Foreign Intelligence Service's efforts were redirected to copying fabricated secret information that was deliberately circulated around the spy.
Eventually, Ina Kardash was detained and is now in a pre-trial detention center. Ivan Stupak believes Belarus will try to exchange her. He is certain that after her return, she will receive awards and become a national heroine. The security service of Ukraine says it's too early to talk about that. The main thing is that the Belarusian Matahari failed her mission. She will no longer be able to recruit anyone, betray anyone, or harm Ukraine, and it just won't break another life. Alexander Zagorodny, Roman Sishchenko, TSN Week, 1+1 The Marathon. There is a day. News on Suspolnoy, Kharkiv.